Welcome to Create Up with Will Ennis. That's me. This is a podcast on leveling up both creatively and in life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 18 of Create Up with Will Ennis. I'm really excited for today's episode. I think I say that every episode, but today is no different because every episode is exciting. This one is all about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. I don't know about you, but I've been hearing all about this almost from everyone in my life about these NFTs and how they're big and how they're going to change the world. I know some sensational headlines relating to NFTs, like Jack Dorsey, the creator of Twitter. His first tweet was sold as an NFT for a couple million. You're hearing about artists creating NFTs that are selling for millions and millions of dollars. And the owners of these NFTs are essentially just having them as JPEGs on their computers. But it's not the sales that are inspiring me about NFTs. It's the technology and the psychology. Well, and also the sales. But the technology and the psychology of NFTs and why people are interested in it, I find particularly fascinating. So I decided to seek someone out who's more familiar with the space. So I got Steve Cheldy on Instagram. That's at Steve Cheldy. Follow him. He's a genius. And he is a NFT strategist and researcher. He answers all my questions and then some. And I really came out of this talk with a better sense of NFTs and what they are. I hope that this talk helps you as well. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this podcast and share it with your friends. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get right to the talk. Here is Steve Cheldy. All right, what's up? I'm here with Steve Cheldy. Thanks for coming through today.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, you're in Montreal right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. All right. Well, we're on the same time zone. Good to know. Good to know.
Yes.
Now, I reached out to you because you're an NFT researcher and strategist, and you know a lot about this technology that I think seems to be on everyone's mind these days. But most of us are kind of going, huh? Like, I know it's non-fungible token. I know a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what would you say to someone who knows nothing about NFTs? How would you explain it? And why is it important?
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll explain it in two different ways. First, I'll start very technical. So like a non-fungible token basically represents a unique and collectible digital asset. So it's for digital things. And unlike currencies that are fungible, so you can trade, you wouldn't care if you give your $1 if
Yeah.
somebody else gives you $1, right? And they can be traded for one another. An NFT is unique, right? It has a unique digital certificate of authenticity and ownership, which makes it like non-duplicable. The same way that like your house versus another house, you can sort of compare them with the value, but they're not the exact same, right?
Mm.
So it's around the same thing. And to get even more technical, why are they so secure? Is because they're stored on something that we call the blockchain, but I'll get into that a bit a bit more
Oh,
later,
yeah. I'm very interested by the blockchain. I think the blockchain is going to change. It's going to
Yeah, so
revolutionize a
many
lot of
things,
stuff. It
exactly.
already has, but even it's just going to grow
Yeah.
and grow. But sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no worries. So a simpler way that I tell people, if they're like younger, and actually younger people, it's easier for them to understand, especially like 25 and younger. I tell them, have you ever played, are you a gamer? Have you ever played a game? They say usually like yes. Have you ever bought a skin for that game? Many people will say yes or understand like people buying skins or like items in that game, right? Basically, if you've done that, you understand what an NFT is.
And a skin, though, what's a skin? Like a skin is like if it's like a shooter game, would a skin be like your gun can have its own
Yeah,
design on
exactly.
it? Okay.
Design or the special clothes that your avatar is wearing, you
Mm.
know, um, that you have to pay for. But basically, now the only problem is that the game owns that. You can't sell that somewhere or versus an NFT. Same thing, it's a digital asset that you buy, but you own it, and you can prove that you're the owner of that item on the blockchain. Um, a way that I explain it to older people, I say, imagine a Picasso, right? You go to an auction house selling a Picasso for like 5, 10, 20 million. Cool. What you're buying is not only the Picasso, you're receiving the paper, the certificate that basically says that you're the owner and that this piece that you're getting has been appraised by
Mm.
professionals to make sure that this is the authentic Picasso. So that if I'm, chilling with my friends, they know it's the real one and I can prove it because there's a million other Picassos that are just fakes done by very good artists that just by the eye and even with some machines that aren't advanced enough, you couldn't tell the difference. Therefore, why would I buy a real one versus just a fake one for $20 or $30, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the $1 million one comes with the certificate of authenticity. And many times people ask, like, why buy an NFT? Like, I can just right click, save the picture, for example, if it's a
Yeah.
picture, right? And it's like, yes, you can. And you can also go buy a fake Mona Lisa on the street for $20, So do your thing. But it's the authenticity and that you can verify that you own it is what has the value in there, and
Mm.
that's what the token is. The non-fungible token is that certificate of ownership.
That's interesting. That makes me think about how you explain that makes me think about human psychology. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why would someone want the original Mona Lisa when they can get a print just as beautiful to put up in their home? But when you
Mm-hmm.
know you're the owner, I think some of it must be almost like ego, like human beings, we
Oh
want to
yes,
stunt,
definitely.
you know.
Yeah.
And in this new world, what's funny with the NFTs, some of the most expensive NFTs I've seen, like this Crypto Punks one,
Mm-hmm.
is like 24 by 24 pixels, so simple. I don't know
Yeah.
how much they sell. I think one could sell for maybe even 1 million almost.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like you're saying, I could save as and have that image,
Mm-hmm.
but to
Yeah.
be just almost a stunt, just people want to stunt. They're like,
Yeah.
I have the thing, and I think that is, I don't even judge that. I think that is one aspect of it, and human
Mm-hmm.
nature is that wanting to show what you have, and now it's moved into this digital space.
Yes, exactly. You're right. Like, humans have always wanted to like showcase their identity or what they belong to or their social status with things.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they've been physical things. That's why somebody's gonna buy like a Lambo or a Tesla instead of a Toyota, even if both cars get you from point A to B. And even if the Toyota is actually more efficient,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like because it's the status, right? I'm gonna buy a Rolex or a Patek Philippe as my watch because like I'm a rich businessman and I need to show that, I
Yeah.
can't be just wearing a $2,000 watch, even though you're gonna tell the same time. So now you're just bringing this, but in the digital realm, and
Mm-hmm.
funny enough, people are saying in maybe like 50 years or something, like our kids, they might not even value something if there's not an NFT of it,
Yeah.
because
Oh
they'll be
wow.
like, what's the point? And the reason for that is that's a bit sort of what I'm doing in my research and looking at is if you look at like the 1990s, the internet just started, right? So people didn't really have a digital presence or anything like that, and then came Web 2.0 with the Facebook, the Instagram, and it started growing and growing. So now somebody's digital presence started to have value for
Mm.
some people even more than the real life, like some people
Yeah.
monetize a lot from that, or spend a lot of time digitally. It can be like influencers or whatever, or it can even be gamers that build a whole identity there and they love that identity more. So we can see a shift from in real life to now it's about like 40, 60, 60 in real life, 40% of like your digital presence is very important.
Yeah.
And people are saying the possibility is that it moves on and moves on more towards the digital. Therefore, being able to have all those items that we have now, like physical items to represent who we are, we're gonna have those, but as and with an NFT representing it, so that
Yeah.
we have digital assets too, because they're gonna be important. And and some people still are confused about that. And the simplest way is to say, if right now people, Instagram or and Twitter said we're not giving out any more blue checks, but people that have blue checks can sell it on the secondary market.
Oh
How
wow.
much
Yeah.
do how much do you think people would pay for that blue check? Is
Yeah.
my question. You get what I mean? So
Yep.
it's like, oh, people understand there's value in a blue check, but a blue check does not exist anywhere except on the digital. If I'm like, I have 9 million followers and a blue check, right? You don't see my blue check when I'm walking around, nor do you see my 9 million followers, right? But
Mm-hmm.
people actually do see it, you know?
Yeah.
And funny enough, I have a crazy painting or something like that in my house. A few people are gonna see it, the ones that are invited in my house. But if I have that painting digitally, actually the whole world can see it. I can even flex or show it to more people than I can in real life. People nowadays see more digitally than they see in real life, which is an interesting thing to think about, which is reasons why I think NFTs and all this concept right now, it's a bit crazy, a lot of hype, but that's where the world is going.
Yeah. What do you think about um like the metaverse? Is that going to play a
Mm-hmm.
role into all this in terms of like showing people all this art? Is it something, because
Yes.
if you just posted your purchase on your Instagram
Mm-hmm.
page for one post, like,
Yeah.
you might get 100 likes, but like people, it's almost like the example you said with the house. Like people may not even notice it. Like once you post more, it might just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the metaverse seems a bit more solid in terms of like you can show off your NFT, you can show off your
Yeah.
beautiful painting, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the metaverse? Are you scared of it? Are you for it?
The metaverse is inevitable. I always say that it's gonna be like I don't think there's gonna be one metaverse. There's probably gonna be multiple for different use cases. But there's already like, I don't know if you heard about Sandbox. It's a metaverse, and they're selling land on it that you can own. And right now, I think that the cheapest piece of land is maybe like 15 or 20,000. Some are selling for 500,000, 600,000 pieces of
Wow.
land. Yeah. And on it, you can construct anything that you want. You can put your house on there and you can invite people there. There's a auction house, Sotheby's or Sotheby's. It's something I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay.
One of the top auction houses in the world that sells Picasso and whatever. They bought land and they built um, a virtual museum where they're showing all the NFTs that they've sold um, in that museum, and you can go and visit. Right, right now, most people can just do that through their computers. Some
Mm-hmm.
people have like the glasses, right, the VR goggles,
Yeah.
like Oculus and everything, so they can see that. And there's also a lot of tech companies that are working on like just the technology to be fully immersed in VR worlds.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit scary when you think about it, because it's like, I don't know if you saw the movie Ready Player One. A lot of people compare the
Yeah.
metaverse to that, like we're just gonna live like only like digitally and not in real life anymore. Hopefully not, but yeah, there's a lot of like things getting constructed, like whole worlds around like digital things. In the future, I don't know, in 10 years, people might be like, oh, let's meet up at this, I don't know, crazy place in the metaverse and have dinner there, or be chilling there, and not in
Yeah.
real life. So, yeah, I think
Well,
it's
I
going to
think
be huge.
yeah, like as VR gets better, because VR is okay now, but I don't think it
Mm-hmm.
it comes close to reality. But
No,
if you look at the rate of evolution in video
yeah.
games, if you think about like Pong, was probably like
Mm-hmm.
when our parents were, maybe in their 20s, like the first video game, Pong. And
Mm-hmm.
now video games now are so much more advanced. Um, yeah, it's funny. My girlfriend just got Oculus as a gift, as an early
Mm-hmm.
Christmas gift. She got Oculus goggles. We haven't tried it
Oh
out yet.
wow.
Yeah, we're gonna try it out this weekend. Um, and what's funny is she got it as a gift because in her constitution, like in her own personal self, she hates the idea of the metaverse, or maybe she just doesn't like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the deal. But
Yeah.
she doesn't trust him, right?
Yeah.
But even still, we're like kind of curious, like, what's this about? Like the potential of VR is pretty great. I was even
Mm-hmm.
thinking about this over the pandemic, me and you talking. This is, in a way, this is like a VR scenario, virtual reality. It's like we're having a
Yeah.
conversation over Zoom, and I see only benefits. Like I got to do so much creativity over COVID
Yeah.
because of
Exactly.
Zoom.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just like it's like this weird world. Like I want to be in the metaverse. I want to experience some things, but I don't want
Yeah.
to get sucked in, you know?
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah. And to be honest, many people in, we call it like Web3, because it's gonna be like the new web,
Yeah.
working on like blockchains, metaverses, and all that. They don't like Facebook because there's Facebook has been the number one company to sell everyone's data, right?
Yep.
And the Web3 really values owning your own information ownership. So usually metaverses like Sandbox, for example, you buy the land and you can do anything there. You own the space like your own property, right?
Yeah.
So it's on the blockchain. Versus with Mark Zuckerberg, he took like the term metaverse, which was already a term like created a long time ago, and just took it for his own name. And
Wow.
now people who don't know about this space, right? They think that what Mark Zuckerberg is doing is like the metaverse, but we call it like, I'm gonna sell your dataverse, like you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
gonna sell, you're not really gonna own anything. It's gonna be like still centralized, while like NFTs and crypto, which is built on blockchains and cryptos and all that world, is really about decentralization, and ownership.
Nice.
So, and owning your data, which is really against like what Facebook has been doing. Who knows? They might get better and be decentralized. We just doubt it from all their previous actions.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put any money on Facebook
Yeah.
becoming decentralized, but I'm glad you pointed
Exactly.
that out. That's a cool point. Like one with Sandbox, and two, the optimism, which I think we need some optimism. And I'm glad you put that out there. The idea of decentralization, because you're seeing
Mm-hmm.
with money. That's when I first learned about it, was through Bitcoin, and how like
Yeah.
there could be a third world country whose government is like just devaluing the currency, and
Yeah.
that you don't need to lose all your wealth if you can invest it in Bitcoin, and then the
Mm-hmm.
government cannot get their hands on it
Yeah.
unless they like, they knew your password, and
Yeah.
like
Which
there's,
they can't,
yeah, they can't. It's really safe, right?
Yeah.
If it's in cold storage. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, that's actually very exciting to think about how we can move into this future in a way with more autonomy, because in some ways it feels like we're losing our autonomy more and more every day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's also a reason why people love the blockchain, because we've seen, especially with the internet, that more and more of what we use, the services we pay for, everything, we don't own it. Like, have you realized how like even like buying programs out online, like Adobe something, nowadays it's not buy it once and you own it forever. It's pay
Yeah.
monthly. Like there's a lot of things that are going towards the like we don't own anything. And Web3 is really about taking some of that ownership, giving it to the creators, to the users. Now the community and the people using it have the power. So, you got to cater to them if you want to be successful because you're selling whatever.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, in the field of NFTs for art, or we could call them avatars. There's a company that's really popular in that field that is called Artifact,
Okay.
and they're one of the top studios working on NFTs and like building in the avatars for the metaverse and stuff like that. And also digital fashion. They're really good at that.
Wow.
Nike just announced 2 days ago, them and Nike, that they got purchased by Nike, basically.
Yeah.
And a few weeks before that, Nike did trademarks for their brand, things that they're selling, their logo and everything, but digitally. So like Nike is there's already big players like Nike that are already thinking of about like how this is gonna be the future. So
Wow.
like it's really important. And nowadays, all we see are the big sales for like a toad or like
Yeah.
a nape or something like that. But like the future will have much more other like much like other use cases. For example, imagine you buy a shoe. Now, if it comes with the NFT, you know that the person selling you that shoe has the original and you can authenticate it also. And if you want to resell it, you would resell the shoe with the NFT. And this will make sure that it's the real thing, you know, and it's not a fake. So this is just an example. Or other use cases is they've already tried that now, but it's not in the legal frameworks. But
Yeah.
imagine selling a house. You got to pass through banks. You got to pass through third parties to like do the sell for you, a bunch of things like that. Now imagine if there's a system where you just have an NFT of your house and you just sell it directly to the other person for a fixed price.
Yeah.
And that already, this will cut out so many middlemen, which means that there's more money kept and saved for each party, right? So those are already future use cases that you might use it for. There's a bunch of others, especially if we get into the blockchain and smart contracts and
Oh yeah.
decentralized identity. But like, there's a bunch of things, you know. But for NFTs, this is just like a taste of like what it can be used for.
That's what I love about this Web 3.0. The good of it to me is the freedom that comes with it and the creative and the
Mm-hmm.
creativity. And I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
about for creators, what would you say to someone who's maybe a musician or a photographer or whatever, and they're creating work?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say an indie musician, what's
Mm-hmm.
their use with NFTs? Like, could they utilize it?
Yeah, basically, they can sell their music as an NFT and they can do it in various ways. For example, they can sell a song to a single person as a bid, and then the highest bid will have the song, or they can sell just fractions of their song. They can also sell shares in a way of their song, which is represented by NFT. And the better the song is doing, the owners of that NFT will get a part of that revenue, you know? So
Yeah.
there's many ways that you can do that. And NFTs are able give those tools to artists. And what's nice is that the artist can do that directly with the end consumer. Doesn't need to pass by labels, doesn't need to pass by I don't know, Apple Music or Spotify and things like
Yeah.
that. He can do it directly, talk with the listeners, with his audience. Therefore, for any like artist, I would say really focus on building your community and people that really like to follow you, because once you have your community, nowadays you have so many tools to sell things directly to them,
Yeah.
like NFTs, you know, there's so many, and it's so easy to do. So
That's awesome.
it's really great for artists. Yeah.
The fact that you can take a song and even just sell like a fraction of a song is
Mm-hmm.
genius to me. Even like an established artist might even think about that, or even
Yeah.
like the Beatles could like go back and NFT their song. Have you
Mm-hmm.
ever been in a bar and there's a song playing and there's that one part of the song and like different people in the bar like sing it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could
Exactly.
own just that part. So after you're singing, you say,
Yeah.
I own that. I own that little part.
Exactly. Basically, like I know it was this rapper Tory Lanez that sold an NFT of one of his song, and it was like he did it really cheap, $1. And I think he sold like $1 million, something like that. Like
Oh
There was a lot of,
wow.
yeah, exactly. So he did like more money with that one song sold as an NFT than basically if he did an album or something going through all the like labels and the this and the middleman and the cost and all that.
Yeah,
He would get maybe like around like that amount or maybe a bit more, but not that much. Now he did that with one song directly to his customer, to his audience, you know. So
that's
it's
amazing,
like,
man.
yeah, it's really great. So artists should really look into this space.
For sure, for sure. Like you think about like musicians getting deals back in the day and how the label would keep like the master files of the music.
Mm-hmm.
And then with streaming came along, it's like now like artists are getting fractions of a penny off
Yeah,
streams. But now it's like Tori's like, well, the price is $1 for this song.
yeah,
And he can give it to everybody, or he can do like, I don't know if you know like Wu-Tang, like how they sold that one album.
yeah,
You could
yeah,
just make one album, only one copy, and you're just gonna sell it off for like a
yeah.
huge price. I,
Exactly.
looking back at that, if do you know the one I'm talking about, that Wu
Yeah,
Tang album?
yeah.
So looking back at that, that's that's pretty inspirational. Like I like that kind of exchange happened prior to like Web 3.0,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like the future is a lot like that, where it's like let's think of the most creative thing. What can we sell?
Mm-hmm.
And we're selling it because it has value, but like
Yeah,
how you see music, how you see um housing, all this stuff, how you
yeah,
see
yeah.
fashion, all
Exactly.
this is how can we just keep turning it and turning it on its head?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's just oh my god, it's just very, very, very fascinating. Can I ask you a question? Have you
Yeah.
bought any NFTs? Is there any NFT you've bought?
Yes, I've bought some NFTs. Definitely.
What did you get?
I got more than one. So one that I bought and sold was an NFT by this artist called Pac. Um, he's a really interesting artist in the NFT space. He's probably one of the top artists in the game.
Mhm.
And funny enough, he likes to um, assess how people see value. Therefore, sometimes he does like NFT sales, and the art is quite simple. It's nothing crazy, but it's just to assess how people see value, right? And he does like gamification and mechanisms of how like you can use like let's say that NFT and combine it with others to make a bigger NFT, or you can burn your NFT to receive something else and like stuff like that.
Interesting.
So the NFT I bought was called a cube from his cell that from his overall cell called the fungible, and it was just a 3D cube turning, and that's it. And I bought it for $500 and sold it back like 4 or 5 months later for $10,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and right now it's valued around $30,000 to $40,000. That
Wow.
one single cube, yes.
Man, how do you know like what to buy? Like how do you get this info?
Yeah.
Can you share
Um.
this?
Yes. 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 Most of the info is on Twitter, and like almost everyone is on Twitter and
Okay.
Discord. So
Yeah.
what happens is that people create Twitters, all the big personalities, all the artists are on Twitter, and then they will do a project, and then they will promote their project on Twitter and create a Discord link. And when you click on that link, you join their server on Discord, and there you'll have all the information on the project. So how much it will cost, what it's about, what's
Mm.
the story behind it, when is it gonna drop, things that you can do to be on the white list, which is like basically the pre-sale list, the public sale, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's just a first come first serve, and it sells out in like 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Sometimes it's like a Dutch auction.
Yeah.
So it depends of the creators what they choose. So that's usually how you learn about it. And to be honest, the more you're in the space,
Yeah.
especially on Twitter and stuff, the more you know who to follow. You see the top collectors, what they're doing. You start knowing who are the good artists, who they follow, which are other good artists and all that type of stuff. And that's how you really get into it, you know? So yeah.
Oh man, that's great. That's great advice. How long had you known of him before you bought the work or then?
Yeah, I knew him for like 2 months before I bought it because I got into the NFT space like late, even though we're pretty early, which
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
like in February of this year. And then I got to like get into the space, know what's happening. Like I learned by buying some stuff that like didn't even like have any type of value, didn't do well. And you slowly learn like that,
Yeah.
how to what is the blockchain, buying crypto, creating a wallet, all those types of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got to know more about some artists coming out. And then I hear about this guy called Pac. So I go look at his previous work. A lot of his previous work is selling for 10x or 20x the amount that like it was initially sold for. So I was like, oh, let me get to know this guy. What is he doing? Well, this guy, we don't know if it's a woman or if it's a man or if it's like multiple people. It's just Pac and it's the person is anonymous.
Mm.
But so yeah, then he sold a piece through his the fungible collection, and I was like, oh, okay, it's $500. Let me buy two of them. But now, if I knew him like I like I do now, I would have bought like 10, 20 of them. But it's always
Yeah.
like that.
Oh
So
man,
yeah,
exactly. We all have that Bitcoin story. Like, if only, you know.
yeah,
Oh man.
exactly,
Um.
yeah.
So, what would you recommend? Like, if someone were to get into NFTs, one, should the average person get into NFTs even? And if so,
Hmm.
should it be to try to find artists that they can flip the art, or is it just to if
Hmm.
they want something they love, or is it
Hmm.
where
Yeah,
would you direct people if they should they even get
yeah.
in there?
I guess there's people that come in for different things. In the NFT space, I feel like there's a lot of FOMO because people are just seeing like left and right on their socials, like, oh, JPEG of like a monkey or of whatever selling for millions. So they're like, yo, I want to get in on this. Like, what is happening? Like, people are making money. I want to do quick money too.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so like there's a lot of people coming just to flip. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing necessarily if you want to come in just for the money. Actually, there's a lot of people that say they came in just for the money, and knowing more information about the space, then they realize so much of the potential that yes, they're still like sometimes flipping or doing some money here and there, but now they're actually trying to build and
yeah,
like to make the space even bigger. So like everybody can have their entry points, but if you're coming in the NFT world just because you want to do some money, some quick money, I'd say that, to be honest, 98, 99% of all the NFTs being sold out there are not going to have much value, even short term or long term.
yeah,
Only a few are going to be like, staying here. The same way that when the internet started, I'm a bit too young to even remember that I was like, 4 years old in the 1990s. But like when I did a bit of research, there was a bunch of people creating businesses, websites, things like that,
yeah,
because the internet was new. 99% of them, we don't even know who they are today. There's a few of them that stayed, like the Googles and stuff like that. But so you got to take that into account. So I'd always say do a lot of research.
mm,
Start. It depends. Start small, but small can be different for anybody. You win like $2 million a year as your revenue. Small can be $10,000. But I mean,
yeah,
like, start small for you when you're investing in something. Learn the game. Never put more money than what you're willing to lose. That's one of my number one rules.
for
Like
sure,
I
for
can
sure.
put money that if I lose, I might be mad at it because I lost money, of course, but like I'm okay. I can still live. I don't have to do like worry about paying something or whatever. Never invest more than that. That's what I
Totally.
would tell anybody. And also, I will tell them just like get into the rabbit hole, go on YouTube. What are NFTs? What is a blockchain? How can we, like, what are the future use cases of NFTs? Because this will make you think about the actual potential uses in the real world that might stay long term. Therefore,
Mm.
you might invest in things that you believe long term will be a thing, Like, for example, I invested a lot into that brand that I said earlier, Artifact. A few days later, they mentioned that Nike bought them, which meaning that it was a good thing for me. But
Yeah.
it's because I believe that digital fashion is going to be a huge thing. We're already seeing it in already, right? So now they're the number one builder for digital fashion in the NFT space. So therefore, I see them long term having value. There's people that see the same thing in gaming. Right now, there's a lot of gaming that is being built around like NFTs also, so that what we call play to earn. Nowadays, you can play to earn money in a way because of the whole ecosystem with like NFTs, and they create like a, um, a cryptocurrency, but for their game instead of
Yeah.
just like, So if you believe in that, then you can look, okay, what is like the top developer in that space? And if you believe in them, then you invest in that coin that they're doing or in the land that they're selling, because I believe that in 5 years, there's going to be so many people coming in that space.
Yeah.
So these are the best ways to think about it than like, oh my God, FOMO, everyone is saying to buy this little piece of like, I don't know what, so I'm buying it, wanting to do a quick flip, So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's different ways to make money and live, right? Like, so some
Mm-hmm.
people will be investors, others could, like myself, I consider myself more of a maker. So like I
Mm-hmm.
like making music, I like making podcasts, this, that, the other.
Mm-hmm.
So NFTs is interesting because it's like, I don't know if I'm going to figure out the hot new artist to get and flip, but I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how do I like cost effectively just start making my own shit, even if it doesn't become, I have no illusions that I'm going to create something and it's worth 10 million, though that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But just like start making my own stuff, whether it's,
Yeah.
shirts and fashion and this, that, the other.
Yeah.
Is it expensive to create an NFT, and is it exclusive? Like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're an art, can any artist make an NFT, for example, or is
Yeah.
it just like you have to be welcomed into the club? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and anybody can do it. Like there's some websites like Mintable, or I'll probably send you a bunch of links after that you can maybe put
Oh,
in the
wicked.
description or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
And then we can tell the
Um,
listeners, we can say like, oh, check out this if you're interested in
yeah,
making stuff.
exactly. Yeah, I'll give you like websites for like platforms where you can buy NFTs or sell NFTs, others where you can create NFTs. But right now, you can go on a website, put whatever picture or video or GIF or whatever you've done, or 3D file that you did of like a shirt, for example, you put it there, you pay a couple dollars to put it on the blockchain, and then you mint it. And it'll
Mm,
cost maybe like 80, 100, let's say max $120, but let's say $100 on average to put
yeah.
it on the blockchain. And when you have that, then you can go on any marketplace and sell it,
Oh, that's
and
so
then you can
cool.
tell to people, oh, this is what I'm selling right now. So you don't even need to be, that's why I say like have a community, because you don't even need to be big. If you just have a following of, let's say, 500 people or 1,000 people, and
Yeah.
they're all hardcore followers to your thing, let's say your podcast, you can be like, okay, I'm selling an NFT, which of whatever design it is, or the podcast logo, that's the image, and you sell it for 500 or even $1,000 each or something like that. And the people, and you even write in the people who buy it, they get access to things. So maybe they're able to talk to, every week I'll have a personal Zoom where I talk about like what I'm interested in talking about in the podcast, where I see it going in the future, what they think I should do or not, reviews of like how I did, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
like, for example, imagine you do this today and then you continue podcasting and people believe in you, and your audience grows, right? That initial thing that you sold, those NFTs, let's say you sold like 500 for $500 each, which would be great, and you use some of that money to even like help you build your podcast more. Those initial 500 might, now there's people that want to buy it from those people that bought it initially, because you're bigger and they believe in you, but it's limited to the early 500 people, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and what's nice about NFTs for creators is that you can put in the NFT itself a percentage that goes to you directly on any secondary transaction. So 5%,
Wow.
10%, 15% in perpetuity. You're the one that chooses that when you build your NFT. So
That is so cool.
somebody else can sell it later. Oh, in 2 years you became huge. They sell it for $1,000 or $5,000 your NFT.
Yep.
You get 5% or 10%, and they get some profit. So it's good for them too. And your audience just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more successful you become, the more those NFTs become also valuable, right? So it's
Wow,
like,
yeah.
imagine if Joe Rogan sold like 1,000 NFTs when he was smaller and had an audience of, let's say, like 10,000 people that really believed in him and bought it for like even $2, but like $5 each. Therefore, he sold 10,000 of those. He raised $50,000. He was able to like make his podcast better. How much would those be worth today?
Yeah.
There's his audience is much bigger. It might be worth a lot more.
Oh, heck
So
yeah.
so
And then the
like, yeah,
blockchain allows you to keep it. I love that about the blockchain, man,
exactly.
because it's like
Yeah,
it's uncorruptible, or at least
yeah.
it's been demonstrated to be. Like I don't think you can
Mm-hmm.
really corrupt it. I could be wrong. I don't know,
You
but
can't.
like human
Yeah.
beings, there's so much room for error with like humans making contracts and sketchy shit. But with
Mm-hmm.
the blockchain, you can write in something. I love the transaction fee. I think that's a great idea because it
Mm-hmm.
just shows also stock in where you're going to go. So you're like, I
Yeah.
might be selling these for $10, like enjoy, but I want
Mm-hmm.
like 10% of a transaction fee, and just
Yeah.
because. And in the end, that can come back to me to help with the podcast. I'm already
Yeah.
planning. I'm already planning. Dude, you already gave me
Exactly.
some amazing ideas.
Yeah, there's
Um,
so much you can do. You can give access, you can have like, you can do anything basically. Like I was already saying, thinking about how in the future artists won't be selling tickets. They're gonna sell like those tickets, but as NFTs, so that after people have a like a memory that they can show digitally, and they can even flex it that, oh, I went to the, imagine you could say to that, I went to the first Beyonce show. For some people it
yeah,
might mean something, and you can have that showing that like you're an avid listener or connoisseur of Beyonce or whatever, and
yeah,
people are already building platforms where it's just to showcase your NFT. So in the future, it's not like, oh, somebody meets me at somewhere at a conference or at a meeting or in class and are like, oh, okay, Steve, he was kind of cool. Let me see his Instagram. Let me see his IG, right? To like know more about him.
yeah,
In the future, it's gonna be, let me see his wallet. Let me see like the NFTs he has. Let me see like what you
yeah,
get what I mean?
yeah,
So it's gonna
totally,
be sort of
totally.
like that. So
And it'd
there's
also be
so
like,
much.
let's hang out with Steve in the metaverse, even like all
Yeah,
things considered, you know.
exactly.
Oh
Yeah.
man. So
Won't be
dude,
limited
like
to things.
I wanted to switch it up, man. You have a podcast yourself. You're doing Fire and Ice.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if you could talk about it.
Oh yeah. I started the podcast last year, and
Yeah.
usually we talk about like pop culture, especially like music, because I love music and all that type of stuff. And right now I'm planning season two, and for season two I'm going in a different route where I'm gonna be interviewing Montreal, because I'm from Montreal artists, and like things that they've done, and like a bunch of conversation around like artistry and music, what they're planning. And I'm planning a little like twist to it also in every episode that I'm not gonna say now, because that's
All
gonna
right.
be like when it comes out. But like that's what I'm working on right now.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick. Are you NFTing any part of your show?
No, no, no. I haven't thought about I haven't thought about like making an NFT myself for the show, but the more I'm like the more I'm doing my research in NFTs, the more you see how there's many problems still, or like issues in the NFT space, or things that are needed to be there for mass adoption to be possible, right?
Okay.
So there's a bunch of little ideas here and there of like how I could build in the space to make things better. I couldn't do it just myself. I would need like a team with me. But like
Oh,
I'm
you want
thinking
to
about like
engineer? You want to help engineer something like that, like where it's easier to like smooth
uh,
out the ruffles?
yeah, exactly. Or there's many ideas. For example, many people have been already talking about that with, imagine you create custom blockchains for businesses, depending on how they need to use it for efficiency or for various other reasons. A main example is charities and non-for-profits. If you Almost nobody believes or trusts fully non-for-profits or charities. They think that if they give $1, 80 cents is going to be lost in bureaucracy and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
maximum 20 cents is going to go for actual like outcomes, right? Imagine you create a blockchain catered to that non-for-profit, and when you give money, you receive an NFT. Therefore, with that NFT representing the money you gave, you can go through the blockchain to see everywhere it passes through
Oh, nice.
and where that money is going, actually, to see the end outcome, which brings trust. And because now you trust more and it's transparent. Now you can see
Yeah.
everything that is happening from the donations with that non-for-profit. And if they're actually doing a good job, people are going to be willing to give more money to them because they can actually verify where their money is going, right? So
Hmm.
this is just an idea of like how it can be used for a specific business. But there's still some work to be done for that. And like there's so much that can be done with like NFTs and blockchains and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. It just seems like the future in some regards is going in a more honest direction. This whole
Mm-hmm.
transparency idea where we can finally, and it just feels like these institutions that, and these governments and these, really, really, really rich folks that are maybe, kind of, corporations doing like shit that, is just wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm being idealistic, but the idea of like the blockchain just being so transparent and what you're talking about, this idea, I don't know, it's easy sometimes to feel negative about the future and technology and be
Yeah.
cynical. And I like hearing these conversations because it's really, if you just get past that bias, you can actually see
Mm-hmm.
like the benefits, the honesty, the freedom, the ability to
Yeah.
create.
Yeah. And that's really the goal of like Web3. And there's many stuff that like right now, we say the companies from Web2, which is those Facebooks and stuff, are battling a bit with Web3. For example, there's things like decentralized identity, where you own your identity. It can be like your fingerprints, it can be your passport, your driver's license, whatever information. And if somebody wants to access it, they need to ask you for permission, and you can take it back away whenever you want because you
Mm.
own, and it's decentralized. So nobody owns it besides you. And the
Here's a
people
weird
that,
question. Could
yeah,
you sell your identity? That's a creepy thought.
you yeah, you could technically, but you wouldn't want to. That's like saying like, oh, I'm gonna give my passport. You could sell your passport
It's
today
like
if you
selling your
wanted
soul to the devil, apparently.
to.
You could like sell, you know
Exactly.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah. And the people that did like the www dot are trying to make that a thing for like most of identity, your identity, and like
Mhm.
online. But there's many companies like the Apples and the Facebooks that are fighting against it, and they don't want to make decentralized identity a norm, just like www dot is a norm on the internet,
Yeah.
because there's so much data that they own from
Oh,
us,
yeah.
that if you made this a thing and a norm, there's a bunch of data that they don't have, and how data is what they're selling, or it's power, and they can monetize from it.
Yeah, man.
So
1,000%.
so now there's still like there's battles going on that almost nobody really knows, but they're happening because those companies are like Google, Apple, whatever, they're Microsoft, they're not working on like the next product coming out next year. They're thinking about like the in 5, in 10, in 15 years, what are we building for that, you know?
Yeah, the
So
new eras. It's like the new.
exactly.
Yeah,
So like yeah,
yeah.
it's quite wild.
Dude, well, this has been like a very eye-opening talk, man. Where could people learn more about you and what you do? What would you say?
Um, to be honest, mostly on my Instagram. Um, on my Instagram, I'll send it to you. It's like at Steve Cheldy. But I'll send it to you so maybe you can add it in the description.
Yeah, you had some dope.
Um,
You had some really good photos.
oh,
Like you, you're
thank
taking
you.
you're taking photography of like people and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So, anybody can contact me there. And if they have more questions, they don't know where to go, they can send me a DM. I'll be glad to answer. I love giving out information about those things. So, yeah.
oh man, well, this is great karma because I feel like I came in knowing a little bit about NFTs, but
Mm-hmm.
I definitely learned some new things and just got really excited about the potential. And it kind of
Mm-hmm.
made me reframe my priorities because I don't think I've been thinking about Web 3.0 enough as I'm creating this
Mm-hmm.
podcast. I'm thinking about all this Web 2.0 shit, my
Mm-hmm.
IG, YouTube,
Yeah.
Facebook. Um, and I didn't think I had enough energy to look at Web 3.0, but it's just that would be so foolish. That'd be so
Yeah.
foolish not to think about Web 3.0.
Yeah.
I don't want
And
to get
some
stuck in it, but or
Yeah,
maybe I do. Shit, I
exactly. Yeah, and something I love to do when I like talk about NFTs and like within a limited time frame is give enough information for people to know what's out there, even if they don't know the like fully what's out there, to like after be like, oh, maybe there's this, maybe there's that. So they're gonna go do more research about it. But now they know what to go research. Because before it was just like, oh, crypto punks or like,
yeah.
bored apes and little pictures that are selling for millions. But now it's like, oh, there's so much more utility with those things. There's so much stuff that I could do. It's gonna affect so many industries, regardless of the industry you're in. It can affect it drastically in the next few years. So people are going to be looking at it in a very different way than just oh,
Yeah.
this is a money grab or a quick cash and that's it.
Yeah, man. Well, that's why I love conversations like this. I know you're a little bit young, but like Polaroid photos, right? You ever taken
Yeah.
a, you take a picture of the Polaroid, and when the picture comes out, it's not fully, you don't fully see what it is. It's just a little
Yeah.
blur, and it slowly builds and
Yeah.
grows. And
Exactly.
these, you know what I mean? NFT was like that early Polaroid. You're like, what is it? I
Yeah.
don't know. But when we have talks and we put them out,
Yeah.
it starts to fill out that picture, dude. So I want to thank you very much
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. No problem. I'm glad that I could give you give you some more info.
All right, man. All the best, dude.
Yeah, thanks for this. It was a great experience. I love coming on like podcasts like this and having great conversation.
We'd love to have you back, man. Anytime.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, peace.
Uh,
All right, everybody. So that's the show. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to send a special thank you to Steve Cheldy for coming out and enlightening us on the subject of NFTs. Give him a follow on Instagram at Steve Cheldy. That's Cheldy. I just realized I didn't actually ask him in person how to pronounce his last name. So for all I know, it might be Cheldy because he's from Montreal, and I just sound like a dumb Ontario host. But irregardless of that, follow him on Instagram. He's a true gem, and he sent an email after the interview with a list of resources that I could go to for where to get NFTs and how to mint my own NFTs. I'm going to list a couple of the websites he mentioned here. And to get the full list, I'll put it in the description of this interview on the YouTube channel. So just type in Create Up Steve Cheldy or Cheldy, whatever. If you are listening on Spotify, you will find it on YouTube. But here, let me read this to you right now. Where to look for NFTs. So you can check out niftygateway.com. Nifty spelled Nifty, gateway.com. Or you can hit up NBAtopshot.com. NBA, like the National Basketball Association, Top Shot. Money. NFT platforms where you can only buy with a wallet. By this, I mean like to hold in cold storage, just like you'd have a wallet for cryptocurrency. You can check out superrare.com, OpenSea.io, and that's OpenSea, like SEA.io, like the depths of the ocean, sea, and Rarible.com, RARIBLE.com. Then he said, what else did he write here? He said, most popular wallet to buy NFTs on NFT platforms, metamask.io. I don't know what that means, but check out, just to be honest, but check out metamask.io, metamask.io. Now, here is a popular platform to mint your own NFTs. I am probably most excited about this. Mintable.app. So mint, like if you have bad breath, take a mint. Able, like if you're able-bodied, mintable.app, app, like phone app or appetizer. Does this help when I spell out the websites for you? I hope it does. Thanks to everyone for listening. I'll see you on the next episode.